Okay, so tonight I decided, since I've been eating heavy lately, to have something simple. And I'm going to make myself what I call the Poor Puerto Ricans meal, which is white rice, beans, like Puerto Rican style beans, Puerto Rican / Dominican style beans, a couple of eggs, and some salad. But before doing this, I said, you know what, let me show you how to make white rice. It sounds simple. Turns out a lot of people don't know how to prepare white rice. And this video is kind of dedicated to one of my friends where her parents are from a Caribbean island where the kids learn how to cook when they're like 6 years old. Or I'm exaggerating, they learn to cook when they're like 7. But she, was born and raised here and never learned how to make white rice. And that's neither here nor there. It's just an anecdote for you to laugh at. So this is for you and your husband. So white rice, let's get started. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about the measurements. The package on rice will usually tell you 1 cup rice, 2 cups water, and that is correct. That's the best way to prepare rice. But that translates basically to whatever size vessel, right? So I have this glass full of rice. So if I use this glass of rice, I'm going to use 2 of these glasses of water. And by the way, this is not a cooking cup. This is not a cooking cup. When recipes ask for a cup, it means 8 ounces. So if you have a measuring cup, you'll notice that at 8 ounces, that's a cup. So if I were to use this to measure my rice, I'd fill it up to 8, and then 2 fillings of water, 8 ounces. So it's always 2, or I should say 1 to 2. 1 cup rice, 2 cups water. In this case, 1 vessel or glass of rice to 2 of these vessels of water. All right? I rinse the rice first before going on in. Hold on 1 sec. Let's rinse it. So here's the rice. I have it in a colander, and also I've been lately using like this giant bowl, and I'll rinse it under cool water. They actually have better colanders than this one. This one, the holes are pretty big, so sometimes grains go through. But it's important to rinse your rice, especially because of arsenic. It turns out a lot of areas where rice grows, the rice will take up some arsenic, and so you definitely don't want that in your white rice. So I'm going to rinse this. This sounds pretty loud, I'm guessing. I'm going to rinse the rice until the water there is no longer cloudy. You see it's cloudy there, right? I'm going to pour that out. I'm going to look for any grains I have in there. Put it back in there. And, keep rinsing it until it's clear. Until the water's clear. Okay, so the rice has been rinsed, right? Through several changes of water. Now what I have here is some salt. I have that same glass I used to measure the rice. I filled it with water, spring water. And I have some olive oil. So remember, the rice, it's 1 to 2, right? So here's the first glass of water. If these were cups, it'd be, a cup. Put that in there. That's 1. So we need 1 more, right? Now here's the trick. If you do 2 full vessels of water, sometimes the rice should come out, the rice, you hear me? The rice will be mushy. There's people I know that like mushy rice. And I think it's just an excuse that they use to justify their making mushy rice. So what you want to do to prevent that is, instead of using the full 2 cups or the 2 full glasses or vessels of water in your measurement, I'm going to fill this up, not all the way, but I'm going to fill it up till about, what is that? Like a third of it is empty, or a little more. The point is, I don't want to put a full 2 cups or 2 glasses. Okay? Now, what we're going to do, we're going to put it on max heat. All right, that's on max. We're going to throw in, this is like a half a teaspoon flat of salt. While it was laying there, it got wet when I was, right? And and a little dab of olive oil. How much? It's up to you. About a teaspoon maybe. You know, and that's all incumbent upon your taste. There are people who put way more. My mother would have put like a ladle full of salt in there. You're going to give it a mix. And we're going to let it come to a boil. When it comes to the boil, we're going to throw it in there. But it looks weird on camera. The lights are making it look like the universe or something. Wow, that's bugged out. If you're here, it doesn't look that way. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, so my water came to a boil. I'm going to take my rice and put it right in there. Alright? I'm going to put the camera down and just get all these loose grains in there. Alright, give me a sec. Alright, all my grains are in there. So what I'm going to do now, don't do this too much. I'm just going to gently like stir it, move it around once or twice just to even it out. Okay, you're really not supposed to move rice around a lot when you're cooking it. I'm going to let this come to a boil, right? When it comes to the full boil, it's starting already. I'm going to lower it a smidgen. Not too much, just a little bit. Leave it on a boil. And when the water dries, we're going to cover it and let it go on for maybe 15 minutes. Okay? We'll be back. It's already starting to boil. See? Alright, so you see the rice, I had it boiling and it's still boiling, but it was on super high, max high heat. When it started like boiling strongly, I turned it down, so you would still consider it high, but not max. So I guess you would say like medium high, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to keep boiling this until craters form around the surface, kind of like the moon or something. So we're going to keep this boiling, and I'm going to show you what it should look like for the next step. Okay, you see, well, the smoke may be getting in your way. If you could see, maybe here, craters are forming, right? It's pretty close to the point where we want to cover it. I want to let the water dry out a little more, a couple seconds more. Let's see, maybe we can, okay, yeah, this is good. So now what I'm going to do is, I wish I had both hands free because I think I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to stir it once, cover it, and bring it to a simmer. Yeah, it's ready. You see the sides? The water's completely gone from the sides. So I'm going to stir it once, just to mix it. Right? See all that oil and stuff? I said once, and I did it like 19 times. Now we're going to cover it, and we're going to lower the heat down to a simmer. Simmer! And that should go for about 20 minutes, like that. Don't touch it, don't talk to it, don't look at it. Leave it 20 minutes. And the good thing about this glass, I bought this because I can see what's happening, you know, as long as it doesn't steam up. So remember, you're going to let it simmer 20 minutes. You know what? I thought to myself, while the rice is cooking, I'm going to make beans. Why not record my process of making beans? And then I can do a separate one. So what you're going to need is, yes, a can of beans. Yes, a can. I'm tired, and I didn't do that whole thing where you soak them overnight, blah, blah, blah. I'll do that another time. Relax. So that's a can of beans. This is half an onion cut up. You can cut it up whatever way you like. This is 4 cloves of garlic chopped up. Another big clove of garlic, I chopped it up finer. This is a red pepper. This would be like a quarter of it. So, you know, if you cut a red pepper, a large red pepper in, quarters, this is 1 quadrant of it, and I diced it up, cut it up, I mean. People my mom used to do, different people put different sorts of meat into beans.
This is just some leftover sausage I have. People use bacon, people use ham, turkey ham I've used once. I'm just gonna use this sausage that I had left over, okay? And we're gonna need some homemade recaito. I'm gonna do a separate video on how to prepare this. I did one like on, what was it, like WhatsApp? And it's not really like super user friendly. So I gotta do a separate video on how to make recaito. Some of us call it sofrito. I wanted to say too, that to the beans, a lot of people, a lot of Hispanics put in sazon. They usually come in these little foil packets, or they could be, like, it could look like a bouillon cube. I also did a video on WhatsApp saying that those seasonings have stuff in it that you probably don't want to consume. So I just want to show you real quickly what sazon is. So the beans, of course, we're going to add salt and pepper. We're going to need oil. I have my olive oil. But sazon is mainly these four seasonings: garlic powder, cumin or comino. This is achiote, anero, and culantro, which is ground up coriander seed. You combine these and you'll make the sazon that you buy at the store. The problem with sazon, those foil packets, is that they have MSG. I don't want to show the brand because I don't want to get sued. MSG, artificial coloring, and tricalcium phosphate. And also there's actually 2 artificial colorings in it. So, I don't know. I don't mean to be all crazy, but that's something to think about. What you do is you mix it to taste. You can like taste the foil packet one and taste this one that you make out of those components, and I think you'll be better off. All right, let's make the beans. So since these are canned beans, I have washed them and I have drained them, and I washed it again and drained it again. I took all of that liquid that is in the can. I don't want any of that stuff. So I've repeatedly washed them and soaked them and gotten that stuff out of it. So I'm gonna let this sit here. Drain this out. And what we're gonna start with, I have a saucepan here. And what we're gonna do with the saucepan, we're gonna put in, maybe I should move it up to our front burner here. I'm gonna put in about, that's a little more than a teaspoon of olive oil. Okay? Turn this up to heat. Medium low. Try to get the olive oil swished around, so to speak. Let that heat up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir fry about a tablespoon of this homemade sofrito. So I'm going to grab my spoon. Oh, I forgot to mention, for the beans also, you're going to need 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Okay, Spanish style. You can make it yourself, but again, I was tired and I bought it. 8 ounces, open it, put it to the side. All right, very important. All right, so our olive oil is heating up. I'm going to turn the heat down low because you don't want, this sofrito was in the freezer or in the back of the fridge and it's very cold, and you'll have a big reaction when you put in a spoonful of this. All right. That's for the normies. I like to use 2. So I'm going to put another spoonful in there. And 30 seconds or so. Alright. If you like the taste of sofrito, of course, you can add more. If not, you can add less. Let's go on to our other ingredients now. While that's heating up, I'm going to move my veggies here in the sausage. Stir. All right. I'm going to throw in the garlic, the onion, and the red pepper. I put a lot of onion, wow. So maybe you can use half of a half, but then again I like onion. Okay? And these here sausage, which I probably should have cut a little more better. And I'm gonna stir fry this a minute or so. So I need both hands free. Be back. Okay, so I stir fried this for a minute, 30 seconds. I let it go for another, minute, just untouched. To that, I'm gonna add 16 ounces of water. If you don't know the measurement, you can use the can that the beans came in should be about 16 ounces. Then I'm gonna turn the heat up on this so that it comes to a boil. When it comes to a boil, I'll show you the next step. Alright, my water's boiling. I'm going to give it a stir with all those ingredients in there. What's next? I'm going to add my 8 ounces of tomato sauce in there. Okay? And give it a stir. Burning myself to get a longer spoon. And that'll change the color of the water. Alright? We're going to let this boil again. And maybe I can scoop out any remaining tomato sauce. Scooping out any remaining tomato sauce. Okay. Now, as I said before, I don't like to give precise measurements on salt, pepper, and other stuff. So I'm going to turn down the heat, right? It's like super boiling. I'm just going to put it on, let's say, medium. It's a well-used pot. Don't want to super boil it, or even low. It's while we talk. Okay? I'm going to put in salt and pepper to taste. Alright? As far as making your sazon, this is what I did. This is a general guideline. I just do it freestyle. But I took a tablespoon of the garlic powder, a teaspoon, little less than a teaspoon of the annatto, a teaspoon of the cumin, and half a tablespoon, which is about a teaspoon, of the coriander. And I mixed it in, I put it in here, I'm going to mix it up. And this is what we're going to use in lieu of sazon. I'm going to put the camera down so I can mix this up a little better. Alright, so this is our sazon. It's going to look differently than the one in those foil packets because the foil packets have artificial red and yellow. If you want this to be more red, just add more annatto into it. Or you can even add cumin or turmeric, right? So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hit the bean mixture with salt. Oh, sorry, I'm unfocused. Give it a mix. Black pepper. I like black pepper. And our seasoning. You could put this or the beans first and our seasonings. We could put this first or we can do the beans first. Let's do the beans first because I've neglected them. Let's bring them over. They're sad and they want to be free. I'm going to put these bad boys just right in. Be careful that you don't put them in a way where they jump up and burn you. A couple sticking here in the colander. So I'll just take them out with my hand. All right. I'm gonna give this a swirl, a twirl. There are people that'll eat them just like that, but I'm gonna add our sazon mixture. Give it another. Wow, I've never done it with these sort of sauces. They really change the look of it. All right. So we're gonna let that cook there. We're gonna let it come to a boil. And I wanted to mention an optional ingredient. Potatoes. There are some Puerto Ricans that put beans in their potatoes. There are others that think it's disgusting. Now, I'm gonna use one small potato. I'm not gonna peel it. I'm gonna put it in there because it'll help absorb any excess liquid. And also, if you overdo the salt, it'll help a little bit with the salt. So I'm going to take this potato and I'm going to deal with it. Hold on one second. Alright, so there's my optional potato cut up, unpeeled. This bit of garlic I'm going to add to the end. I'm going to wait till the end of the cooking cycle. And I'm going to lower this heat to the lowest possible and cover it. And let it go there like a couple minutes, 5 minutes. Not even, 4, 3, 2, 1. I do everything freestyle, baby. So let's say 3 minutes. All right. Let's look at my rice. Ta-da! Ooh, nice. It's nice and you see how nice and grainy it is? This is not a good spoon. So this is my rice. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover it again and put it on the lowest possible heat that I can for, a couple of minutes. My mom used to do this. Right now it's on a low simmer, but I'm gonna put it on the lowest possible heat that I can until I'm ready to, serve everything else. So it's done. It's just now on the lowest possible heat. I went around with the burner control to, it's just a puttering heat, and we'll keep it like that until we're ready to serve everythting together. All right. Okay, so the beans, I uncovered them to taste them. They are freaking delicious. All right. I've never done them with these sauces before, but I'm glad I did. It made a good combination. So now it was there, just heating up for what I said, like 4 minutes or whatever. At this point, if you want to put in potatoes, you can. If you don't, just let it heat there another, 5 minutes on super low. You see, it's barely bubbling there. But I am gonna add potato. And if someone doesn't like the potato, they can just pick it out as they eat it. Give it another mix. I mean, it tastes so good. I don't have to adjust the salt. I don't have to really do anything. Now, we're going to cover it. We covered it. And basically, if you put potatoes in it, you're going to have to judge how long it's going to take for those potatoes to soften. So I would say, 5 minutes. Not on super high, and it's fine. Then you test it, you take a potato out, you stab it like, you are salting it, and if it's soft, it's good. Okay. All right, so let's serve up my plate. I did a little salad here. Simple, romaine lettuce, tomato, salt, pepper, lime juice, and olive oil. I actually learned from a little girl that if you take romaine lettuce and just put a little lime juice on it, it's really good. Just that way by itself, but I went all out. My rice is ready. Let me serve up my rice. Ooh. Do I need 2 hands? I'm gonna need 2 hands. Hold on. All right, so my rice and salad are there. Let's go to the beans without burning myself. I want less potato. Let's see here, less potato. Well, I'll take some potato. There we go. All right. Ooh, I'm dropping stuff all over the place. Let me set this nicer. Okay, so this is the end result. The Poor Puerto Ricans meal. All right, it's actually supposed to be a tutorial on how to do rice, but it turned into something else. I like to have this with hot sauce and a nice cold one. This is on a day like this, really hits the spot. This is a lager type beer. I'm not gonna say what brand. All right, so I hope that I enjoy this, and that's it. Peace.